All right, folks, today we are gonna do a special project. Still snow outside, things are a little slow, so I thought I'd dig into this bike. I've been wanting to do something with this bike for some time, and today we're gonna do it. So this is a Surly long haul trucker. And if you're not familiar with the long haul trucker, first of all, where have you been? It's probably one of Surly's most popular bikes that they've ever produced. It was introduced in 2004 and it ran all the way to 2022. That's 18 years in production without really any major changes. And it is a bomb-proof bike, super popular. Even today, the resale value on these bikes is pretty good. So definitely get yourself one of these if you don't have one already. Or if you do have one and you want to sell it, hit me up. Because we had the bright idea to use Surly long haul truckers in our rental fleet. So we want to get a size run of these, fix them up, and just keep them around so that when you come to rent a bike from us and ride on the rail trail or ride on the gravel roads or even take them bikepacking, we'll be able to set you up on one of these long haul truckers. So sounds like a great idea. I don't know if it's gonna work or not. This one unfortunately doesn't fit me, but I'm gonna measure it right now to see what the frame size is. And the way you measure the long haul trucker is a little bit different. A lot of times with a bike measurement, you're gonna go from the center of the spindle, the crank spindle here, to the top of the seat tube. But in looking at the geometry charts for the long haul trucker, they actually measure it to right at the top of the top tube here. So using their measurement, this one is a 56 and I ride a 54, so it is a little small for me, but hopefully I'll find a 54. If you've got one you want to sell, hit me up. But we're going to take this 56, we're going to strip it down to the bare frame, and then we're going to tune it up, put it back together, and make it into a rental bike. And hopefully we can do it without having to purchase any new parts. It has most of the parts already. Obviously the handlebars are gone. We do have some bar end shifters here, and yeah, pretty much a complete bike, but we're gonna swap out some parts, make it a little bit nicer. So yeah, follow along, let's see how this goes. All right guys, so before we start to tear this bike down, I do want to let you know at the end of this video, we're going to share some tricks and tips about how to identify what model and year of Surly that you have. So stay tuned for that. Also, if you have any experience with the long haul trucker, we'd love to hear from you. Leave some comments below. We want to get the conversation started. With that, let's get into it. All right, so the first thing I need to do is tear this bike down, get it ready to clean up and put back together. So I'm gonna tear it down right now. All right guys, so ran into a little snag here when I was trying to pull the non-drive side crank arm off. The threads on the crank arm started to strip out. Apparently this crank arm is rusted onto the bottom bracket. There it goes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's not gonna work.
So I tried this several times and
Well,
the threads just kept getting worse. So I proceeded to look at it for a long time. This didn't help either. So I decided just to move on, get the rest of the bike apart, and come back with plan B for the crank arm.
let's get these brakes off of here. This headset feels really janky. We'll probably need to put either new bearings or a new headset in it. Ooh. Oh, the bearings don't feel too bad. So this is a pretty nice Dior XT rear derailleur. I'll probably clean it up and try to use it. Dang, had to give that a little more juice than I normally do. Always a good idea to grease your headset cups before you put them in. All right, this is something you always worry about, the seat post getting stuck, but this one slides out nicely. Amazing what a little grease on the seat post will do. All right. All right, got this one apart except for the non-drive side crank arm. I will take care of that. All right, so we are using a gear puller to get this thing off. Just gripping it.
All right, guys, spoiler alert. This didn't work. We were trying a automotive gear puller that
It's slipping off
sort
on the
of
bottom.
wraps around the outside of the crank and allows you to, kind of, it should pull the crank arm off, but the arms on the puller just kept sliding off. It's stuck on there so good. So we're gonna resort to plan C. We aren't going to use this crank set because the threads are stripped anyway, so we're just going to cut this thing off.
It ain't gonna be good video these days.
All right, plan C.
Okay, guys, another spoiler alert. At first we tried a Sawzall on the bottom bracket, but it's hardened steel and the Sawzall did not cut it, literally. So we decided to resort to plan D and use a cutoff wheel. So I went to the hardware store to pick up a new blade for our cutoff wheel, and when I got back, the guys had already cut the crank arm off. So I didn't get to show you on video, but the good news is we did get it off. We were able to remove the bottom bracket, and with that, we completed the disassembly of our long haul trucker.
It's just threading.
All right, so we have this bike taken down to the frame. We're gonna start cleaning it up and getting it ready to put back together. You can see here the stickers are a little janky. I'm gonna see if I can get some replacement stickers for it. These are a little better, but still a little bit tore up. Also down here. Overall though, this frame is in really good shape. There's a few minor dings, but nothing really problematic. The paint is in really good shape. It's very dirty, but once we clean it up, it's gonna look really nice. All right guys, so now we have this bike taken completely down. We can start cleaning it up and putting it back together. And I'm gonna save that for the next episode. So in the next one, we'll get this thing put back together and show you the finished result. But before I wrap up this episode, I want to get into something that hopefully you find helpful, and that is how to research your old Surly. So if you've ever tried to research or restore an old bike, sometimes it can be difficult to figure out what bike you have, what frame you have, what year it was made, all of that. So I've resorted to trying to get information from experts on a Facebook group. Sometimes you can find old catalogs that are posted on the internet, and you can kind of dig it through and find information, and sometimes it can be extremely difficult. Fortunately for us, Surly has a pretty good system of encoding information in the serial number on their bikes, and also some markings you can find on the bottom bracket that help you determine what you have. So I'm going to show you on this bike what this looks like. I'll show you also on some modern bikes what process they used. Now I will say Surly's been around for a long time. There probably are some variations to what I'm going to show you. So I would ask if you have something different on your Surly. I'd love to see examples of that, because I'd like to do a little more in-depth video on how to research your Surly. So the more examples I have, the better for that type of video. So if you have other examples that might be slightly different than this, I'd love to see them. So comment below or get in touch with us on our website and let us know. But let me get into it now. I'm gonna flip this bike over, show you what it looks like. All right, so this one has the serial number printed clearly here. Sometimes it's hard to read the serial number, and you can just use a piece of paper and a crayon and just kind of etch it, or just sometimes even taking a photo of it will help, but in this case I can read it pretty clearly, and the number is M8043120. All right, so from that I can tell what year it is, what month it was made, and what factory it was made in, and I'm going to show you how to get that information in this part of the video, so check it out.
All right, so the first part of the serial number is going to be a letter, most likely an M, and that stands for Maxway, which is the manufacturer of the frame. In about 2019, they started also using another company to assemble the bikes called Willing, and for those bikes, the serial number starts with WE. So those are the only two examples that I've seen, M or WE, and that just tells you where the frame was manufactured or assembled. The next two digits in most cases is the year, so 22 in this case is 2022. The next two digits of the month, it's usually a number, so 04 meaning April, but for some bikes they did use a lettering system, so in some cases instead of two digits you'll see a letter A for January, B for February, C for March, etc. So if you do see a letter there, you can correspond that to whatever month it was produced. And then the last 4 digits simply tell you what number of bike in that production period that you have. So in this case, the first bike, 0001, would be the first bike produced, and they increment that up. So that's the standard format. For my bike, it was slightly different. The number was M for Maxway manufacturing, but the next digit was 8. Instead of a 2-digit, it was 8, meaning 2008. So for some reason during that period, they didn't use 2 digits, they just used the single digit. The next 2 were 04, meaning April for the month, and then 3120 was the production number. So my bike was manufactured by Maxway in 2008 in April, and it was the 3,120th bike produced. So just to verify that, I did go back to the Surly catalog for 2008 and confirmed that the color produced in 2008 for the long haul trucker was olive green. So the color I have here is olive green. That's pretty cool.
All right, so now I'm going to show you how the identification looks on a more modern bike. So here I have my Midnight Special frame set, and we are going to be building this bike up in a future series, so stay tuned for that. I've got almost all the parts in the store now for this bike, so can't wait to get started on it. But let me flip it upside down and show you what kind of coating we have on the bottom bracket. So on the drive side, we have MS-54. That tells me it's a Midnight Special in size 54. Really helpful that they included the size as well. So every model of Surly has a different coating. I'll pop up the list so you can check it out. Pretty self-explanatory. Some of the codes are kind of funny, so check that out. So we have the traditional coating on the non-drive side. So this one says M24023019, and that means it was made in the Maxway factory in the year 24, month of February, and it was the 3019th bike that rolled off the line in the month of February. So thank you, Surly, for providing so much great information. I think that over the years that's going to be really helpful in keeping track of what we have. All right, I hope you found that helpful. And again, comment below if you have something different on your Surly. Love to see it. And that's going to wrap up this week's episode. I'm already working on next week. So we're going to have the long haul trucker completely cleaned up and built up for you in the next episode. So check that out. And in the meantime, check out our online store, ottawabikeandtrail.com. We've got stickers up there. We've got a lot of great Surly goodness and a lot of other great stuff. So if you want to support the channel, check out our website, ottawabikeandtrail.com. We will see you in the next episode.